Hey guys, apologies for like the groggly, horrible sounding voice. I was at Disneyland the other day and I was screaming my ass off on Dumbo and Pinocchio and all those crazy thrill rides. So I'm gonna try my best not to pass away while speaking about this. But anyways, now on to our feature presentation. Steven Spielberg has been like my guy forever. Even before I knew I wanted to make movies, I knew who Steven Spielberg was and I loved him. I remember as a kid, I was like 6 or 7. My parents asked who my hero was, and I said Steven Spielberg because he was the director of my favorite movies, Indiana Jones. Right? Still, still my favorite movie, really. And I remember my parents being like, Steven Spielberg, why? Like, I remember them telling me that he cheated on his wife or something. Anyway, because I remember seeing like I've always watched behind the scenes of like movies, and I knew Spielberg's name and face, and he directed everything that I loved growing up. It wasn't until later, obviously, that when I knew I wanted to make movies, and I saw Spielberg's face all over Universal Studios, I knew, okay, I want to be like that. You don't need to be a film fan to know who Steven Spielberg is. Steven Spielberg is the guy. He's made everything. He needs no introduction. I feel like there are people on this earth who think Steven Spielberg is the director of all movies. You know what I mean? He's that famous. He's that much of an icon, that much of a behemoth, and that much. He means a lot to me and what I want to do and how I want to express myself. The older I got, the more I began to love him, not just as a filmmaker and storyteller, but kind of as a person. I didn't know much about him, obviously, as a kid, but growing up, looking at his interviews and him getting personal, or even the documentary that came out some years ago, where he was this skinny kid who was bullied, didn't fit in, and used movies as a means of escape, either from his parents' divorce or from school that he hated, and was in control of his life whenever he was behind the camera, whenever he made a movie. And along with every filmmaker, every person who is an artist or is a storyteller can relate to. I wasn't necessarily bullied, but as a kid, my biggest enemy was myself. I hated myself. I hated the way I saw myself. I was never the sporty guy. I was never the person that was picked first for any of the football games or whatever, like PE. I hated all that. I hated school. I hated math especially, and to hear that Spielberg himself also is like that, not only was it inspiring but comforting. So when I heard that he was making a movie about his childhood, him growing up and realizing that he has the ability to make movies and he has a passion for it, the relationships that he has that influence him to become the person that he is, I was excited. I have seen the Fabelmans 3 times now, and from the trailer makes it seem like it's some sort of glossy Hollywood, and movies are magic and amazing. Schmaltzy. The most schmaltzy, sentimental thing. And I was ready for that. I was okay with that because Spielberg revels in sentimentality. He's very sentimental, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially if it's coming from somewhere pure, somewhere honest. I hate movies that pretend they're sentimental. Spielberg is sentimental, and that's that's his style. That's what he does. I'm always going to take style over fake, over pretend, over wanting to be something that you're not. And Spielberg is showing everybody who he is. So I went in the first time thinking it was going to be that, and it was more than that. It was this drama about how the people in his life, how this moment in his family, and all these moments shaped him into becoming the storyteller that he is. It wasn't just this glorification of movies and how Movies are total magic. And don't get me wrong, it has moments of that, and it shows him as a kid, when he first watches a movie, when he falls in love with these movies and how he creates and why he's doing what he's doing. But it's mostly about the complicated relationships within his family and how that affected him even to this day. He's 75, almost 76, and he still remembers these moments, and he's still telling stories of these feelings, these emotions that he's felt as a kid. But ultimately, it's a movie that I find super comforting. I think it's my new comfort movie. I have seen it 3 times, like I said, and I'm going to see it another time. And I'm obviously going to buy this movie. It's the perfect movie to put on for me, at least when I don't know, I want to kill myself. Unless, no, I'm kidding. Or I just feel frustrated with where I'm at, or I don't feel as much motivated to make a movie. And especially with the last few minutes of the movie, they're absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Especially the final shot. It's my favorite final shot of the year, and probably my favorite final shot of Spielberg's filmography, period. Like, it is perfect and just encapsulates everything that I love about movies, storytelling, and Spielberg. The man has inspired me since I was 6. He inspired me growing up. I'm still relatively really young, and so he's going to inspire me until I'm 40, 50, 60, beyond, until I'm dead. And that's the power that Spielberg has with his movies. And you see that in this movie, him realizing that he has that power, that images hold such a power, that we have the ability to manipulate people's emotions, that we are capable of doing so. There's so much responsibility in having that power. As a kid, realizing it, and me when I realized it, I've had premieres where I've showed friends and family my movies, and seeing their reactions, be able to kind of orchestrate this crowd. I remember being bitten by that bug and realizing there's nothing else I want than to do this. But realizing the power of it, the responsibility that you have, and that these images mean something, and you shouldn't take it for granted. And I'm not going to take it for granted. And if you're a filmmaker watching this, if you're a storyteller, photographer, whatever, do not take the power that you have for granted. I mean, again, I was that kid that invited my friends to make movies. I was that skinny little kid with the hair and the hat, just demanding people and taking time out of their day to make this weird movie, whether it was like a zombie movie or whatever, like a horror, anything. Is to see someone, such a behemoth like Spielberg, who has made these huge movies, these personal movies, who's won all these awards, whose name is cemented in history, who has a studio backing him up, who has a production company that he's made, to have had a genesis as close to mine. It's not only inspiring, but like I said, it's comforting. And it's, for the lack of a better word, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's not only just a reminder of to keep going, but it's just a reminder that the biggest of things can come in the smallest of places. I see no point in living life for someone else. What is the point? Doesn't mean you need to starve yourself. That just means you need to do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Discover what wakes you up in the middle of the night, what wakes you up at 5 a.m. and gets you excited to do what you want to do, what keeps you sleepless at night because you keep thinking of the idea of you doing what you're doing and being excited of the life that you're living. Whatever that is, freaking do it. Mr. Spielberg, if you happen to be watching this, I don't think you are, but if someday you do, whether I'm 6 or 10, 22, 32, 50, 80, I thank you for everything, for being yourself, for being honest, for telling stories, and for doing what you needed to do. You were born to make movies. I was born to make movies. There are so many people that are born to do what they needed to do. And you did. And we all benefited because you did. And the world will benefit you, yes, the person that is watching. The world will benefit from whatever it is that you need to do. All right. I think that's about it. Love you guys. Take care.